That is Christchurch-based singer-songwriter Keren Mara from her debut album, Falling. Now, we spoke to Keren just as Falling was about to drop and found out that this is a project that has been a long time coming.
It has, yeah. It's been sort of a long, dragged-out process. It's just taken time to figure out genre direction, and just how we were going to go about the recording process, which songs go with what songs, because there was a lot to choose from. So yeah, it just took time, and I sort of had a lot of personal stuff happen in that time as well. So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
you know how it goes.
Life gets in the way.
Yes.
So it's nice that you have options, especially with lots of songs to choose from.
Yes. Yeah, I'm quite lucky. I tend to pick up the guitar and write a song. So my issue is being sort of a bit too creative sometimes, not
Okay.
quite able to pinpoint and on one thing and finish projects. So I can start a lot and then not quite finish. So the
Okay.
challenge has been learning to finish a song and then move on, and not pick the guitar up until I'm finished what I'm doing. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. So, and some of these songs, so the it's yeah, I guess it's a mini album because there's 7 tracks, and
Yes.
and it's called Falling. So why have you chosen that as the title?
There's just sort of a theme throughout of really difficult times and hardships and grief. Sort of during that time, I lost two brothers, and then I was prior to that sort of had another really traumatic thing that kind of led me back into music. So I sort of felt like I was just being hit left, right, and center. And literally, music was my saving grace and what got me through. Because yeah, so it kind of representative of songs kind of born out of that hardship and that trauma. So falling, yeah, there's a theme throughout, either lyrics or kind of vibe of yeah, falling.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because there's a song called "Words That Fall," right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's beautiful. It sounds like an upright bass, stand-up bass being played at the beginning of that. What can you tell me about the sound of that?
She wanted something, but he wouldn't give himself away. He wanted something, but she wouldn't give herself away. It's the same words that fall. It's the same words that fall.
So Harry did the production for that one, and he did choose an upright bass sound.
Oh,
Sort of originally he had it doubled with a guitar, but in the production process it didn't quite work together. So we ended up just going with the upright bass for that one. Yeah.
okay. And is there anything you want to talk about the content of the song itself, the lyric?
Yeah, so words that fall, it's sort of like, when you meet someone and you kind of like each other, you're trying to get to a place where you can sort of work things out and maybe develop a relationship, but both parties have like their issues from like past relationships, so they're not being honest and
Uh,
open. So
the
it's like,
baggage.
yes, yes. So words, it's the safe words that fall instead of like what you really want to say.
Right.
So that's kind of that idea.
All
Yeah.
right. And the Harry that you're referring to is Harry Finlayson Hood. Is that correct?
Yeah. Finlayson, Harry Finlayson Hood. Yeah. From
Okay.
Geraldine. Yeah.
So you've been working with him for quite a while. Tell me how that works.
Well, yeah. So I met him when I was studying at ARA, and yeah, we just kind of, he ended up living with me at one point, and then we kind of, I was trying to figure out how to do the production, and he was like, well, maybe I could give it a go. And he's brilliant. So yeah, it's worked quite well. And he loves that I kind of give him free reign. I sort of have my ideas,
Right.
but then he
Sure.
sort of he'll turn like I'm like I sort of have a bluesy song, and then he sends it back to me, and it's like rock, and I'm like and then after after a while I'll listen through, and I'm like, actually, I love what you did. So yeah, and that's a really good partnership that we have.
No, that's good. Yep. And the album itself opens with a track called "Under the Wind," which goes back to a couple of years at least. I think it was
Yes.
released originally. Why is it opening up things there?
Hurry up, I don't want this day away. Back on the roller coaster's about to begin. Oh, but there's trouble under the way.
I feel like the song kind of sets the scene quite nicely, and that was like my first kind of introduction into the music industry, if you will.
Okay.
And it sort of starts, on that sort of easy listening bluesy vibe, and then it kind of gets heavier
Right.
as it goes on, and then I sort of end with two quite heavy, more rocky songs that are written for my brothers that passed. So it's sort of, yeah, it just felt right.
Okay. All right. And you've got a guy named Nick Jackman who's playing the harmonica on that and another track.
And the second one, yeah.
Yeah. So who is he and how does he fit into the picture?
Yeah, so he's a local musician, and he's been sort of playing the scene, doing like a little bit of Irish music and that. And I put an ad up in one of the musicians' pages for a harmonica player, and that's kind of how we connected.
Cool.
Yeah, really, really lovely guy, easy to work with, and yeah, I just love the harmonica vibe and what it adds to those songs.
Right. Okay. So I've done a little research. You grew up in Thailand, was it, or Southeast Asia somewhere? How
Yes.
did that influence what we hear in your music?
I definitely think it's given me like a very different perspective than local Kiwis, because I grew up, first of all, with different music around completely different people. I grew up with Americans, so I've never been to America, but I grew up with Americans and Thais. So
Yeah, you
yeah, and
almost
then
have an American accent.
yeah, when I first came here, it was a lot stronger, but it's been Kiwiized.
Okay. Well, we can understand each
Yeah,
other because I have an American accent, so there you go.
yes, yes. I picked it.
Yeah.
So when I was growing up, the music that I listened to, my first exposure to music was Christian music, first of all,
Right.
and then like Leanne Rimes, Faith Hill, Mariah Carey, Britney Spears. So that was, there was boy bands at the time as well.
Right.
Thais loved country and they loved pop. So that was
That's cool.
so yeah. And then sort of after, becoming an adult, moving here, I was exposed to a bit more of a range of different artists. And I love all sorts of music. So when I write, I'm not thinking about genre or anything whatsoever. In fact, up until recently, I had no idea what genre I was. But I think because I write quite, sort of more sad songs, it leans more towards rock, sort of more better suited for that. So,
Uh-huh. So do you consider yourself a rock singer or a songwriter
not,
or
not really. I think, yeah, singer songwriter, but there's definitely like the rock, rock influence. Because yeah, Pink was one of my idols as
Pink?
well.
All right, there you go.
I just love strong female singers.
Right.
There's just something about it that just, that's special.
Yeah, because I noticed on a couple on Living on a Heartbreak, and then it's followed with The Door. There's some pretty dramatic production
Yeah.
involved in there. So tell me how
Yeah.
that came about.
But I will see you in my dreams and everywhere I go. And in a while I too will be home. Fighting with the fighters. They pushed it open and it closed. My mind is burning wider. The door won't open once it's closed.
I think the way Harry works, so Harry does my production. So I record the guitar, vocals, and he pretty much does everything else. So he kind of goes off the vibe and he'll sort of ask me questions as to what the song's about. And then he kind of develops it from there. So he's very talented, and we've been working together for a while, that he kind of knows what I like and what I want to hear. And yeah, if you would ask him, he would say it's just the emotions and the vibe that he got from the lyrics that led to his production choices. So
Right, right.
yeah,
Okay. And speaking of
yeah.
the
So
lyrics, do you think there's anything that ties the songs together lyrically? Is there kind of an overarching theme about what you're writing about and thinking about and feeling?
um, I guess that would come down to who I am as a person. I've been through a lot, but I have quite a strong faith. I don't like to define it too much. I've always been very spiritual and very much sort of, how can we get through this? How can we turn this into like learning and soul growth? So I definitely think, even though there is sadness, there's definitely sort of like hope. It's probably the best way I can describe it.
All righty.
Yeah.
And I think I read that you worked on some kind of traveling fair a few years back. Well, tell me about that. Sounds interesting, and, and it's not something that everyone gets a chance to do.
No, so I was in quite a lucky space where I actually had that year where I sort of was a free agent. Obviously now I've got a permanent job, so I couldn't do that now, but my
Right.
daughter was at a good age. Um, I was kind of like, it just worked out. So it was 4.5 months of me traveling the North Island, um, doing, yeah, just playing on the fair every Saturday, Sunday, just pretty much playing off and on all day. So that was, yeah, that was a really cool, very cool experience.
Did you learn much about New Zealand from doing that?
I did, yes.
What kind?
I loved traveling around. I learned about New Zealand, that it's bigger than I thought was. North Island, different, a lot muggier, a lot warmer, which was nice. I had a
Right.
great summer.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, really cool. I got as far north as Wanganui or Whangarei with the waterfalls.
Yep.
I always get mixed up. Whichever one has the waterfalls, sort of before you get to Kerry.
Right. Yep. I
Okay,
think you're
yeah.
right.
Sorry, my geography's not very good. Yeah, so yeah, pretty much almost all the way to the tip,
All right.
and yeah.
And do you connect much with, one-on-one when you're out on the road playing and singing? Do people come and want to talk to you about what kind of their experiences and how they relate to what you're singing and playing?
Yeah, so you do. So what I experienced through that was, there pretty much at every fair there was like one or two people that would kind of hang around and really enjoyed it, and
Right.
they'd come and have a chat later. And quite often they were musicians themselves,
Right.
and they'd sort of comment on the gear and just ask like, oh, this is really, because it's quite a different lifestyle. So a
Sure.
lot of questions are like, oh, so you do this full time? And well, it's been a few months. We'll see how we go. But I definitely am more of like, I do need a home base. As much as I love traveling, I kind of do need like a home, and then you sort of have somewhere to come back to.
Right.
So yeah, I
Okay.
definitely couldn't do it like permanently full time.
All righty. And you have a show coming up in July somewhere?
July 29th,
Yeah.
yes, at Space Academy,
Oh,
starting at 7. I've got 2 openers, which I will announce very soon. And yeah, if you're around and want to come, then we'd love to have
all right.
you.
I'll see if I can get down there. But what kind of,
Just
is
plug
it you
that.
solo or are you playing with other folks or what's going to be the setup?
So it will be a band. So I'll
Oh,
be with, so I have Harry, and then I have Jason on the bass, and Jonathan, another local musician, on drums. And I have a special guest
cool.
performer coming to do some singing with me as well.
Oh,
So
that'd be
yeah, be
exciting.
announcing her soon.
You don't want to give it away yet? Nope. Okay. And so, were you always going to be a singer and a songwriter and an artistic person? Do you think that was inevitable?
Um, Probably. Just I remember being 9 and watching some people perform on TV, and just my whole heart was like, oh my God, this is incredible. I want to do that, and that kind of stuck with me. So as much as I kept running away from it throughout my life, I think there was that thread that was always kind of pulling me back.
Right.
And I mean, now more than ever, it's not really an ideal time to to be launching a music career. So I guess the people that are, it's kind of a testament to like, this is who they are, this is who we are. And it's sort of like, things come and go, life changes, but I'm a musician and I'm always going to write music. And this is just how it is. Whether or not we make a living out of it, who knows? But, we love to do it. So Yeah.
Do you see yourself, say, in 10 years' time, having a body of work and a kind of a catalog and all that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, there'll be probably 5 albums or something
Oh,
in 10
nice.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, whether or not I'm still working my day job and, just playing music on the weekends, who knows?
Yeah.
It's something I do intend to keep doing. So yeah.
All righty. And are you planning on coming up to Auckland anytime to play?
I would love to. I just need to plan it.
Okay.
And I need to put money aside as well. So
Yeah, unfortunately, you'd like to think that it was a money-making proposition, but that doesn't always seem to be the case, does it?
not always. I mean, there definitely is. You can get creative with making money, but yeah, it's definitely with touring, it does get expensive.
All right.
Yeah.
And so when do you, so I get the feeling that the 7 tracks that make up this record are kind of you catching up and then taking off from there. So do you see the next record? Do you have songs already picked out? Whereabouts are you creatively?
Yes, that's actually a really good way of putting it. This is kind of, these songs kind of did fit together and they kind of reflect that kind of period of time when I went through a lot. And I pretty much had the next one already planned out and almost
Oh,
halfway recorded. For the more upbeat kind of rocky songs.
right.
Some of them we did one on this first album, but it just didn't quite work out. There's certain things, it's just like one thing, for example, the guitar in the verse, I'm just not happy with it. So we need to figure out how to change it so that it works. And that kind of stopped it from being on this project. So
Right.
little things like that take time to kind of, work out.
You
So
still working with Harry?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it sounds like you got a kind of a thing going on, a team, some a system in
Yeah,
place.
yeah. It's great when you have a situation that works and meet the people that vibe where you vibe together. So yeah, we're quite lucky.
If you enjoyed this episode of the 13th Floor's Music Talk series, please be sure to subscribe to the website or to the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram and wherever you find your podcasts. There's a whole lot more to discover.